It's Jappy's Crypto here again for episode 22 of my trading journal. It is the trading session review from the night of the 17th, morning of the 18th of August 2022, and it's Jappy's Crypto coming all the way from Australia. And let's get into it. I'll just clear off the screens and show my results. So last night, tough one, not a great results, and I'll go into that in some detail in a minute. I took a total of 4 trades and unfortunately down for the night. So only one winning trade last night, $103 profit on the one trade, and 3 losing trades to take a hit of $338 on those. And total profit loss for the night was negative $245. Just a reminder, I am trading a demo account with the goal of trying to double my demo account. I do trade and I'm attempting to apply the ICT or Inner Circle Trader system or style of trading, which I've picked up from, or I'm learning from, the 2022 mentorship series on YouTube. So check it out if you want to sort of understand what I'm learning here. And as I said, I'm continuing to learn and refine. This is my setup for last night, and I'm just going to go full screen on trading view here. And this, I've got an indicator turned on that shows me the morning session for New York, which is this area here. This is a lunch session, this is the afternoon. I wake up, or if I can, I sometimes try and get asleep just before the market opens. However, I usually start paying attention to the market around this time. And I typically will trade the first hour or 2, maybe sometimes 3 of that session, and by this time I'm usually asleep, or try and get off the markets to get to sleep. So last night, what happened? So first and foremost, this was the levels that are good to mark. So the line up the top here this is the price at midnight, and I marked this level to be a bit of an anchor point so I can pay attention here. Really good idea, and I probably don't pay enough attention to this, is pay attention to the price at 8:30 or at the market open. Excuse me. And I've marked the previous high just before a market open, and marked the previous low just before open, or the price at 8:30. And so if I've marked these off, and this is actually quite interesting, I need to get better at doing this, but when I look at and review the market, or the price action overnight, you'll see how those levels actually ended up being quite respected and were important points. So that's on the 15-minute chart. Let's go right down. One thing I just want to have a look here as well is, and I'm starting to see this pretty consistently, and if I was super patient and didn't have this desire to be in trades all the time, you actually see that there's some really decent setups often on the 15-minute time frame. So I'm just going to have a quick look to see if there's any decent setups last night. We had this fair value gap here on the 15-minute as price started to head down, came up again. You could probably say that's a market structure break, possibly. There's no fair value gap here to fill. So, in this morning session, there was no real 15-minute setup. So effectively, you're trading the 15-minute last night. In the morning session particularly, there was no trades to take. Interestingly, and this is when I look at this, price came down and started to move up here. Fair value gap formed here in that lunch break, or the lunch session. And then just after the market reopened, after the lunch session, price came back down here. And you'll notice that we've got this market structure break here, which is this. So that ends up being a very valid long entry. So if you took that as a long and possibly targeted this as your exit, that's a really clean trade. You basically go from here to here. So it's a really good example of that one trade. If you took that, would have well and truly just been a very, very profitable trade, but you would have been having to trade the afternoon session there, and I don't trade that because I'm usually sound asleep by that time of the night. Let's get into the 1-minute chart, which is the chart I tend to end up usually hanging out on. And I'll scroll right in and see what the action was, and you can see the trades that I took, or I can see and review the trades that I took and what I can learn from it. Super happy with the first trade of the session. It set up really nicely, and it was a pretty clean trade. I got out at a really good point, and I was I was pretty proud at that point. I did consider that maybe I've done it and I should just go to bed. In retrospect, maybe I should have. However, let's see what happened. So we've got these yellow lines being the price. So once the price had come down here, I was starting to look to see where I was going to take an entry. We've got a market structure break here, so price came up above this level, and we've got this here being a fair value gap. Once that hit, I placed a long order there. I had my stop loss placed down here, so it did come down here and start, it was close, and sort of tested my resolve to see if I was going to hold out. I was in this trade just before 9 o'clock, and I was holding out, and when the equities market is opened at 9:30. This really actually, I was a little bit nervous at this point because the price was whipping around as it normally does at that time. Lucky for me, I had my take profit set just at this level, and from previous sessions and from what I'm learning, I decided to place or change it so I took 2 out at that level, and I was going to leave my last. I had one position left, or one contract left, and I was going to see if we can head up this direction, which is a previous area that I'd marked out as a possible target. Unfortunately, price reversed. I still had the stop sitting back in here. Once that got hit, though, I moved my stop loss just underneath my entry, and I actually lined it up with this here. So I lined that up just there. Now, I'm still trying to wrap my head around order blocks, so I'm definitely not an expert, and I've probably got this all wrong. However, from my basic understanding so far, this looks like an order block to me. So we've got 2 down candles and then 1 strong push up. So for me, that's actually where I had my stop loss placed, so just below that level. So if it came and broke through that, I just said, you know what, it's done, and I ended up exiting that trade in full. So overall, that was about a $90 profitable trade for those 3 were 1 trade. Still really happy with that. It's a really good trade. Got out at the right time. It obviously came up just above that and reversed. So from what happened from here? Well, the next setup was actually still a really valid setup, but I was too greedy and I didn't take out the trade early enough, and it got stopped out. So price broke again down this level, broke here. We've got a nice, good market structure break again. So solid market structure break. Fair value gap here. I got in with 3 contracts at this point. I actually had my take profit set just above this level. Unfortunately, price didn't quite get there and started to break away. I had my stop loss down here, and I've just trying to be really disciplined and stick to my trade plan. Unfortunately, it went through and broke out through that stop loss. I was hopeful I was going to see this. I was hoping to see that. It didn't play out. So, in retrospect, maybe when it came here and started to reverse, it was a good time to maybe just move a stop up to that level, and I would have not lost out in it, or possibly just place my stop loss just above that level, which would have been, it's often, when you look through this, oftentimes if price breaks back down below this and breaks this prior low, then you've probably done. So that's just a learning lesson there. Maybe in retrospect, or next time I look for these type of setups, I'll move my stop up to this level once I've broken out past that high, possibly. But anyway, it's just one thing I've learned, or I'm learning as I go. So unfortunately, it's a no-go there. And I just had stuck in my head for whatever reason that I'm going to go long. So my next trade, I was looking for another long setup. I suppose when I look at this and review this, I'm not real sure why I was stuck on long, because we've got this, it's a lower low here, and price is just doing these lower lows for the next, the rest of the morning really. So it probably would have been a good idea to start looking for some short entries, and I wonder if there was any, because when I look at this, let's just have a look to see here, was there a short there? Ooh, super close. Let's have a zoom right in. And I did see this, or actually I saw this after the market had started to move, and I said, oh, maybe I've called this one wrong. However, if you draw this out just at this level, there's a potential trade there. And what I mean by this, we've got this really solid, it's a super strong market structure break here. So price has come and busted through here, and we've got this fair value gap. There's a fair value gap there and a fair value gap here. So in theory, based on this whole methodology, if price comes back and hits here, that's a short. So that there would have been a great short entry. I took, I was obviously in the trade and I got stopped out here, but I suppose I wasn't confident enough to take that short because it was reversing my bias, and my bias was long. But that was a definitely solid trade setup, and just look at this, it just kept on moving down. So such a strong shift down. Probably you've broken this as well. So you would have only just grabbed that one because it only just came into that fair value gap. However, if you'd taken that and maybe had that as a target, just money for jam that trade really. And I think there continued to be setups. I still had this long buy stuck in my head, this last trade here. So I'm okay with this trade, that one there. I'm okay with that. I can get better at adjusting my stop loss once it's moved a particular direction. So I'll just cop that one on the chin. It's no big deal. This next one, my bias was pushing or informing me too much, and I let it get the better of me, unfortunately. So the whole thought process here is price comes up. I can, is this a market structure break? Not really. I convinced myself it was. I got a fair value gap here, placed along, had my stop loss down here, and got stopped out. Happened pretty rapidly. So yeah, on retrospect, poor trade. Maybe if the price had come up like this, then it would have been really valid, or should have in retrospect seen the price come above this level and possibly break this, or break this on a strong push. It barely got above it, so not really a great setup. So for me, dud trade. Learn from that. Don't take that type of setup again. And so we missed this short here. Is there any other shorts I could have taken? We've got this strong push down. There's no fair value gap there. So yeah, there's no other shorts there that I can see. But as the market kept on moving, is there any other, no other real strong setups except for that one I sold before, as I talked about before. And if we, look to don't trade the lunch session at all, but if we look to see what happens post-lunch, have we got some moves here? Well, yeah, I think we do. And, we've got this market structure shift here, big fair value gap, trades down into there. There's a beautiful long entry, and you could add your short down here, no real risk at all, and price just explodes through these levels. So, take profit, and yeah, so the trade setups for people that are new to ICT and wondering, can you get multiple setups in a session? 100%. They're often every day there's multiple setups. It's pretty rare that I've seen so far that you don't see a setup in any particular session. The trick for me is to not overtrade. What I'm learning is to be more patient, and probably my real learning from last night ultimately is don't take those type of trades, silly setup. Be more confident to take these type of setups when you see them and manage your stop losses a little bit better. We break through this, probably a good indication at that point to just move my stop up a bit nice and tight. I could have probably finished that session with, a meager $70 or $80 loss or profit, because that would have been almost a flat trade. And if I'd taken that short, it would have been a nice little profit in the bag. So you live and learn. That's the way it is sometimes. Let's have a look at see what my bias for tonight will be. And to do that, I switch over to the day chart. And let's have a quick squeeze here, see what we can see. I'll just get some music crank in the background here. So I'm sure you're sick of listening to me or my voice without that music in the background. So I'm going to delete the fib that I've got on this day chart. I'm going to also delete these two lines I just drew on there, which is the 15-minute range prior to that open, and I'll just hide this for a moment, the drawings. So what do I see here on the daily charts? This is a level I'm doubtful we're going to break below. So for me, I'm fairly confident right now that we're not going to go below that. So for me right now, I'm probably going to be still this way biased a little bit. I'm interested to see if price gets up here. So if I show those drawings again, that's those price marks or levels I've marked out before. So I'm expecting or hopeful that price is going to be drawn up to this level. And you'll also see here that this would be a fair, it's a fair area to be drawn to. So for me tonight, when I'm looking at the charts, I'm going to be hopeful to see, because as I said, I feel like we've done the business down here, and more than there's a chance that we might come and draw down to this level, but I'm probably going to be a little bit more long biased, and we're looking for this. So if I was going to set a bit of a somewhat of an aggressive target, let's just mark off what that is. Let's turn that lines on again. So that's 13,743 on the Nasdaq. Be interested to see if price draws up to that level. So that was on the daily. Let's go down to the 15-minute for a second. And the reason I'm doing that is I'm just going to mark out the price at midnight, and I'll do my normal little trend line here to show this anchor point for the session coming up. So I just copy and paste that, and we're going to drag this over here, line that up to midnight, double click on it here, and we're going to call that Thursday, which is the session we're about to enter into. It's really interesting when you mark this to see how the price responds to this, the price at midnight. So if I zoom out a little bit here, you'll see this is the week so far. So throughout the week, we've started here on the Monday, it's come up. We've got a Wednesday. We got a Wednesday go below the price at the start of the week. So are we going to hang out down here? And then Friday, I won't be surprised if we see this come up and then finish the week at about where we started. So that could be where we go. So as I said, this is an area that I'm thinking price is going to be drawn to over the next 24 hours or so. So let's see if we, this would be the very first target we'd expect the price to get to. So I might even mark that on the charts here as a possible draw. So I like to do this on the charts because when I go down to the 1 minute, it just means that I don't have to worry about what was the left and what caused me to draw these lines. It's just points of interest. So, I'm thinking price, it'll probably do this sort of thing, but I'm thinking it's going to be drawn up to that level, hopefully. And just make sure that's right on midnight, which it's not. I'll just drag that and line it up here. That's midnight there. Let's get that to be perfectly lined up. Beautiful. There we go. Now I'm all set for tonight's session with the NASDAQ futures September contract. I'm looking forward to getting into tonight's session again. And yeah, hope you enjoy my trading journal. Get any questions, comments, or feedback for me. Tell me what you think I can improve on the sessions. Chuck some comments down below in the YouTube video. I really appreciate you checking it out, and hope you're enjoying your trading journal. Until next time, it's Chappie's Crypto over and out, and bye for now.
Our bodies move to the groove and the light that flickers. We get lost in the crowd, it's getting thicker. We get away from the drinks and chatter. Haven't said a word, but it doesn't matter. Feel the air getting standing in a blurry dream. No one else can see us. Live your life within the moment. And don't go wait until the morning. You never know when it is over. All that I know is we'll get older. So let us dance this night away.